Good morning and welcome to the Forbo Flooring Systems COP26 interview sessions, which we will conduct before, during and after the Glasgow Climate Conference. My name is Willem Burmanje. I am Director Strategic Communication at Forbo and I will be your host for these 10-minute interviews. Today I will be speaking with Cristina Gamboa. Ms. Gamboa is CEO of the World Green Building Council and indirectly representing over 70 local green building councils worldwide. The World Green Building Council will be present at the COP26 Glasgow Climate Summit, the conference on which so much is depending. So Cristina, welcome. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time for us. We will be speaking 3 times before, so today, during, sometime next week, and after the climate conference in Glasgow. What do you think will be the greatest challenge for COP26?
Thank you so much, Willem. Hello. I think there's 2 main big challenges. One is the policy gap, and the other is the finance gap, if you like. And of course, the rule books to continue to roll out the Paris Agreement. But let me talk about the policy gap. I think we have demonstrated that businesses are ready for bolder and more ambitious regulation. And we need climate leadership from national governments to catch up, to mainstream the solutions we know are now available. This would be a powerful way to close that gap and also would create more demand for sustainability in the built environment, both at the national level, but also enabling cities to enact better policies. However, cities continue to roll out the way, and as I said, the gap is from national governments. Mm-hmm. So we hope there's some more political leadership that can galvanize this action and send those clear demand signals through the value chain. And for that, we need deep collaboration, and I think that's also what we are about at COP26. So that's one. And the second point, the critical topic is finance. And there's 2 angles to it. One is to deliver the promise of the Paris Agreement to deliver $100 billion every year of climate funds to countries that are facing the harshest impacts of climate change now and to enable them to unlock their decarbonization goals. We're behind, we're not on track, and we're possibly going to deliver those funds by 2023. And that is lagging in terms of bringing in confidence and trust into the Paris Agreement process. And second, in order to be able to have emissions by 2030, there's a great analysis that shows that we have to hit private sector investment of $4 trillion by 2030. And right now we are at 600 billion and buildings are only at 30 billion. So we are behind in the private sector, also, let's say, unlocking the demand for better solutions and better quality of life throughout the built environment. So we need better to understand why the private sector is not investing at scale. Possibly they don't know, they don't have enough information about the performance of the current building stock, the business case of investing in getting assets to net zero, but also in all the infrastructure existing and new, that it is really truly fit for purpose and that every dollar counts, because better invested will get us every fraction of a degree closer to getting to a 1.5 degrees Celsius scenario future.
So those are the big themes, politics and finance. But do you feel that there are also subject matters which need to be addressed that are somewhat underlit at this moment?
Yes, of course. There is this big topic of climate justice, right? That is continuing to go up in the agendas. And basically because the conference, right, is taking place in the midst of a pandemic and we're learning to live with it. However, many delegates possibly will not be able to travel, even though there has been the best of efforts to get people to come here. And so those voices of countries that are being right now disproportionately hit by climate change, and that means 4 billion people around the world in those countries are already facing these impacts, possibly won't have a strong voice. However, we do anticipate that the youth will continue to bring the clarity of thinking of divesting from fossil fuels, accelerating the transition, and of course, protecting, let's say, the rights of people to have a viable future. And so I think those voices will be heard at COP. But of course, the big emitters and the policy gap that I mentioned of getting people to commit at a level that is consistent with what we need to secure that global warming doesn't go astray is one of the key things we're going to see, let's say, from that strife of people sometimes being very seriously affected emotionally, and let's say, the distress of having policymakers not making the promises to keep the Paris Agreement really truthfully like the multilateral agreement that it needs to be to deliver for our well-being.
Yeah. You will be present as the World Green Building Council. You actually will be in Glasgow. What do you hope to achieve as an organization during the conference?
Yes, so I guess since January of this year, we've been working towards these 2 weeks. And so it's going to be really, really interesting to see the outcomes. We have been collaborating through a coalition of like-minded NGOs through the Building to COP26, let's say, campaign. And what we want to achieve is that worldwide it is recognized that the built environment is a critical climate solution. And we have done a lot of progress in uniting, in getting some great outcomes in terms of, one, knowing that the sector has to have emissions by 2030. Every single NGO in the sector now acknowledges and is behind that voice, one ambition. And second, of course, through the collaboration with the high-level climate champions in the UK government, to also get breakthrough moments from commitments from the sector in the Race to Zero and also Race to Resilience, but basically show that we can get people to act now, and that there is a value proposition of investing in sustainability and net zero now that makes sense and that is viable and should be the only way to do business in this sector and every other sector.
Okay, my final question for the next 2 weeks, do you also have a personal ambition?
Yes, of course. For me, it's about also what we're doing right now. It's to spark conversations, to spark the debate of what could we be doing better now, to get ambitious ideas, be action, because where we're at is not where we're supposed to be. And we know that our built environment is where we live every day. Our buildings also are now even our places of refuge for our work. And so we need to make those conversations, realize that we can give back more than what we have taken from this extractive model of doing business in the sector for several decades. So I want to harness that collaboration, get our sector to thinking to create that positive contribution to climate, and also realize that it's not about doing less harm. We can also, through our actions, help avoid the worst of the biodiversity crisis, restore it, and of course, protect our economies and our human health through best practice throughout the sector.
Okay, thank you very much, Cristina, for now. I wish you a very good and fruitful conference with good conversations, and I hope for a breakthrough. We will see. At least we will speak with each other again in about 10 days to see how progress is being made right from the COP26, where you will be present. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.